Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hope Logan's existence in Willow Creek had always been a tapestry of bright moments, with the delicate rhythm of rustling leaves and the calm hum of a tiny village. She was recognized for her bright smile, limitless optimism, and unwavering commitment to people she loved. Her world, while not without challenges, focused on her family, her fashion company, and the man who had been her rock through innumerable storms, Liam Spencer. Their love story, much to the soap operas that inspired it, was one of passion, tragedy, and second chances. But no one could have imagined the tragic turn of events that would destroy everything they had achieved together. It was a crisp autumn evening, with the smell of burning leaves in the air and the promise of change. Hope was driving home from a late-night meeting at Forrester Creations, her thoughts racing with plans and deadlines. The road was slick from the earlier rain, and her car's headlights cut through the gathering dusk. She did not notice the truck until it was too late. The screech of tires, the shattering of glass, and the jarring impact that followed were the last memories she had before the world went dark. When Hope opened her eyes, she was in a sterile hospital room with a continuous beep of monitors in the background. Her head throbbed, and her body felt like it had been through battle. A doctor stood by her bedside, his look a mixture of relief and anxiety. "You're awake," he stated gently. "You've been in an accident, but you'll be fine." Hope attempted to nod, but the effort made her wince. She looked about for something recognizable, but her mind was blank. Names, faces, and locations were all lost, replaced by a fog that refused to rise. Liam was there when she awoke, his face pale and drawn, his eyes red from a night of little sleep. He'd been by her side since he received the call, his heart pounding in his throat as he rushed to the hospital. Seeing her awake was a comfort, but as she gazed at him with vacant eyes, his world shifted. "Hope," he murmured, his voice shaking. "It's me, Liam." She looked at him, her brow furrowing as she struggled to identify him. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, her voice scratchy. "Do I know you?" The word struck Liam like a physical punch. "Amnesia," the doctor explained later. The collision resulted in a catastrophic brain damage, wiping out years of memory. Hope's life, her childhood, her work, and her love for Liam, was locked away in a region of her mind that she might never revisit. The outlook was dubious. Some patients regained their memories in days, while others required years. Some never did. Liam's indecision was a pain beyond any he had ever experienced. He had previously lost hope due to misunderstandings, betrayals, and the turbulence of their tangled lives, but this time was different. This seemed like an awful loss. In the days that followed, Liam devoted his efforts to Hope's recovery. He gave her photos, memorabilia, and anything that would evoke a memory. He showed her photos of their wedding, their daughter Beth, and the many memories they'd shared. Hope glanced at them politely, but there was no recognition. She seemed friendly, even warm, but it was kindness from a stranger. Liam's heart wrenched as he realized the lady he loved was both present and absent, a ghost of herself locked behind a wall he couldn't penetrate. Hope, for her part, was lost in a world she couldn't grasp. The hospital personnel, her family, and even Liam regarded her with a strange familiarity. She could see the sorrow in their eyes, the way they stared at her as if she were a conundrum they needed to solve. She wanted to recall, to return them to the person they plainly loved, but the more she tried, the more elusive her past seemed. It was like chasing a dream that vanished upon awakening. She felt like an imposter in her own life, carrying someone else's identity and past. Liam refused to give up. He moved into their guest room, determined to be there for Hope in any manner she needed. He prepared her favorite meals, even though she couldn't recall why she enjoyed them. He played her favorite music, hoping that the melody might arouse something deep inside her. He told her memories of their life together, such as their first date, getting caught in a thunderstorm and laughing until they were soaked, and the quiet nights when they planned their future. Hope listened, occasionally with a slight grin, but the stories seemed to be about someone else's life. As the weeks grew into months, Liam's optimism faded. He noticed the toll his insistence was having on Hope. She was trying so hard to be the person everyone expected her to be, but the strain was crushing. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Hope looked to him, her eyes welling up. "I'm sorry, Liam," she said. "I can see how much you adore me, or rather, the person I was. But I'm not sure how to be her. I'm not sure if I ever will." Liam's throat clenched. He wanted to tell her it didn't matter, that he loved her regardless, but the words seemed empty. Instead, he grasped her hand and told her, "You don't have to be anything other than yourself right now. I will wait for you, Hope, as long as it takes." But waiting was misery in and of itself. Liam's days were filled with a quiet desperation, a yearning for the life they once shared. He missed the way Hope used to laugh at his bad jokes, nestle up against him on the couch, and light up when she talked about her dreams. He missed the fights, too, the heated debates that always ended with them collapsing into each other's embrace. Their interactions became more deliberate and calculated, as if they were both terrified of damaging something fragile. Hope, meantime, was dealing with her own feelings of loss. She couldn't remember her life, but she felt its absence like a phantom limb. She saw love in Liam's eyes, the way he gazed at her as if she were the center of his universe, and it both warmed and crushed her heart. She wanted to love him back, to experience the connection he expressed so clearly, but her heart was a blank slate. She began to wonder if she was holding him back, tying him to a past that may never return. Hope discovered a journal in her bedside, its pages filled with her own handwriting. It was a record of her life with Liam, penned in times of joy and sadness. She read of their hardships, successes, and the love that had endured every adversity. The words painted a picture of a life she couldn't recall, but they triggered something in her, a faint echo of emotion that felt like her own. She did not inform Liam about the journal. Instead, she read it in secret, believing it would open a door to her past. Hope gradually began to reconstruct her life. She returned to work at Forrester Creations, where she found comfort in the usual rhythm of drawing patterns and selecting materials. Her co-workers were patient, taking her through a world she had once known well. She made new friends, found her passion for art, and gradually began to form a new identity. But the question about Liam persisted like an unanswered inquiry. He was a continuous presence, encouraging and steady, but she couldn't shake the sense that she was failing him. Liam, too, was changing. The weight of Hope's amnesia led him to face his own inadequacies. He had always been impetuous, reacting quickly to his emotions, but he was now learning to be patient. He was starting to love Hope for who she was becoming rather than who she had been. It was a hard process that required him to let go of the past and embrace the unknown future. He noticed glimmers of the old Hope in her, a spark of mischief in her smile, a quiet firmness in her resolve, but he also saw someone new, someone who was forging her own path. Hope persuaded Liam to join her for a stroll one evening, about a year after the accident. They walked past the park where they had their first date, the air cool and fresh. Hope remained quiet for a long time, her hands buried inside her coat pockets. She finally paused and turned to face him. "I've been reading my journal," she explained. "I don't remember writing it, but I think I'm getting to know the person who did." Liam felt his heart skip a beat as he realized why she loved him. "Hope," he began, but she raised her hand. "I'm not her," she replied softly. "Not now, maybe never. But I want to try. I want to get to know you, Liam. Not just the you from the stories, but the you who has been here every day, waiting for me." For the first time in months, Liam felt a glimmer of optimism. It wasn't the reunion he had hoped for, where Hope's memories returned and they resumed where they had left off. But it was something new, something authentic. They stood there in the fading light, two individuals who had lost everything, yet were slowly reuniting. Their journey was far from completed. There were still days when Hope felt lost in her own flesh, and Liam's heart grieved for the life they'd lost. But they were learning to create something new, a love defined by the present rather than the past. They smiled more, argued less, and found delight in the simple things: a morning coffee together, a peaceful walk under the stars. Hope's memories may never return, but she was creating new ones, and Liam was there for every page. In Willow Creek, where the seasons changed and life continued on, Hope and Liam's story was no longer only one of grief. It was a narrative of resilience, of two people who refused to give up, even when the odds were stacked against them. It was a love story, not one that was perfect or simple, but one that lasted through every loss and hope. Hope awoke slowly, the hospital lights glaring above her, her body feeling both weightless and heavy at once. She attempted to elevate her head, but the dizziness pushed her back against the cushion. A light buzzing filled her ears, and she briefly wondered if she was still dreaming. Then she noticed a nurse by her side, changing the foreline and checking the monitor. The woman smiled gently at her, but it did nothing to calm the tempest of turmoil gathering in her chest. "Where am I?" Hope muttered, her throat raw. "You're in the hospital," the nurse softly replied. "You were involved in an accident. Simply try to rest. Everything is going to be fine." Hope struggled to grasp the words, but they slipped past her like smoke. Accident? Hospital? She closed her eyes, hoping memories would return, but all she saw was an emptiness, a scary blankness where her life should have been. The door opened, and a man entered. His face was pale from concern, and his eyes ringed with tiredness. He paused when he saw her, as if he had been holding his breath for days. The nurse nodded and slipped out, leaving them alone. "Hope," he whispered quietly, his voice breaking. Her heart pounded, not with familiarity, but with something deeper, and pain she couldn't identify. She glanced at him, examining his face, but nothing came up. "Who are you?" she inquired, her words cutting and brittle. The man flinched, as if struck. He took a step closer, his fingers trembling as if he wanted to touch her, but didn't dare. "It's me, Liam." She repeated the word slowly, tasting it, hoping to find an anchor in the darkness. However, the name meant nothing. Her eyes flooded with tears. "I apologize. I don't know you." Liam swallowed hard. He had envisioned this moment numerous times, her awakening, her grin, her relief upon seeing him. But this? Her complete unfamiliarity with him? It was an unexpected wound. "Don't you remember anything?" he asked, his voice barely audible. Hope shakes her head. "No. It is all gone. I'm not even sure who I am." The stillness between them was thick and terrible. Liam wanted to tell her everything, how they had loved and lost, how fate had torn them apart so many times. He wanted to remind her of their daughters laughing and the quiet mornings when she rested her head on his chest. But gazing at her delicate face, he realized it would be selfish to heap the burden of their history on her when she was already drowning in nothingness. The physicians dubbed it retrograde amnesia. Sometimes memories re-emerge over time. Sometimes they never did. Liam sat by her bed every day, bringing flowers, reading to her, and giving her stories without labels, as if they were fables rather than facts. He depicted a woman who believed in generosity, second chances, and love despite the world's cruelty. He never claimed the woman was her. Hope listened quietly, hands clasped in her lap, a part of her drawn to his voice like an invisible thread. She didn't know why, but Liam's presence both reassured and saddened her. Nights were the most difficult. When the nurses turned off the lights and the halls fell silent, Hope would lie awake, tears soaking her pillow. The emptiness inside her seemed limitless, like if she were a ghost traveling through her own body. She despised seeing Liam's misery, the way he attempted to smile through it, the way he carried something heavy and refused to let go. She pondered what she had meant to him, and why the prospect of disappointing him filled her with dread. One evening, Liam gave her a tiny photo album. He hesitated before handing it up, his eyes brimming with unshed tears. "These are pieces of us," he explained. "Only if you want to look." Hope flicked it open, her breath caught as she saw the first photograph. A tiny girl with beautiful eyes and golden locks smiled at the camera, her cheeks flushing with happiness. Something deep inside Hope's chest snapped, and she reached out as if she could touch the child through the glossy paper. "Her name is Beth," Liam muttered. "She's our daughter." Hope's heart swelled. She had no recollection of the girl, yet tears ran down her cheeks as if her spirit recognized something her mind couldn't. "She's beautiful." "Yes," Liam responded, his voice breaking. "Just like her mother." Page after page revealed events frozen in time: birthdays, holidays, and peaceful afternoons. Hope saw herself smiling in each picture, holding Beth and standing next to Liam. She studied the woman's face, attempting to bridge the gap between them. But the woman in the photos felt like a stranger, a ghost she couldn't quite capture. Liam closed the album softly. "I understand this is a lot. I do not want to push. I need you to know you're not alone." Hope glanced at him, her chest throbbing from something unknown. "I wish I could remember," she muttered. "This is for you. For her. But it's all just blank." Liam reached for her hand, unable to hold back anymore. She did not draw away. His touch was warm, steady, and familiar in a manner that she couldn't define. A spark passed through her, not memory, but something deeper, like love. Weeks have passed. Hope learned to walk again and manage the world without the support of her past. She laughed occasionally, which astonished her. She cried frequently, despite her attempts to hide it. Liam stood by her side, patient and steadfast, even when she pushed him away due to guilt. As they sat at the hospital window, watching the rain muddle the city lights, Hope turned to face him. "Why do you stay?" she inquired. Liam's eyes met hers, his words low and firm. "Because I have lost you too many times. I cannot lose you again. Even if you never remember me, or if you never love me the way you did before, I will always be here. Always." These words crushed her. She leaned her forehead against the glass and sobbed quietly. She did not deserve that kind of love. She wasn't the woman he loved. She was merely a shell of herself. But when Liam's hand touched hers, she did not back away. Hope never regained her memory. The past stayed locked up and untouchable. But she created something new with Liam, fragile and vulnerable. It wasn't the same love, but it was genuine in its own way, a love born of brokenness and patience, of two souls who refused to let go even when everything else had vanished. Nonetheless, a sadness persisted, a shadow that accompanied them everywhere. For Liam, every smile she gave him was laced with the realization that she couldn't recall the last time she smiled that way. For Hope, every stride forward was accompanied by the ghost of the woman she used to be. Life went on, as it always does. But other nights, as Hope lay awake alongside him, she wondered if love could genuinely exist without recollection. And Liam, watching her breathe in the silent darkness, wondered if this was their fate, to love and lose each other repeatedly, in new ways and lifetimes, perpetually caught between recollection and forgetfulness.